When a seashell arrangement on an Instagram grid becomes a high-risk material threat, while a nationally televised gubernatorial prop with the exact same numerical intent is redacted from the prosecution ledger, we aren't just looking at a judicial variance.
Looks like former FBI Director James Comey has turned himself in to face those federal charges in North Carolina over an Instagram post. Last year, Comey posted this photo of seashells that spelled out 8647, which DOJ alleges was a threat against the 47th president, Donald Trump. Comey later deleted the post and said it wasn't meant to be a threat.
We are witnessing a systemic default on the Equal Protection Clause that should trigger an immediate adverse audit opinion on the Department of Justice. As a certified public accountant focused on forensic verification, I approach the legal environment like a distressed mergers and acquisitions deal where the internal controls have been replaced by selective enforcement protocols. We are auditing a management double standard, where the DOJ Board of Directors is attempting to liquidate the reputation of a former FBI director for an Instagram post, while a sitting governor, who performed the exact same forensic transaction years earlier, enjoys a permanent tax holiday from accountability. This is the 86 Trump selective audit, and for Camilo's house, we are documenting the moment where the audit of intent became a tool for regulatory arbitrage that threatens to bankrupt the public's trust in the rule of law.
Last night at the top of our show, we made reference, and you became a target of the president personally, a lock her up chant targeting you. Started and seemed to be almost encouraged at times by the president there. You've already come under threat once. What does something like this do to you personally? I know how you're acting professionally here. I'm just wondering how this impacts your family personally. I mean, that's a lot to deal with.
You know, it's incredibly disturbing that the president of the United States, 10 days after a plot to kidnap, put me on trial and execute me, 10 days after that was uncovered, the president is at it again and inspiring and incentivizing and inciting this kind of domestic terrorism. It is wrong. It's got to end. It is dangerous, not just for me and my family, but for public servants everywhere who are doing their jobs and trying to protect their fellow Americans. People of goodwill on both sides of the aisle need to step up and call this out and bring the heat down. This is the United States of America. We do not tolerate actions like he is giving comfort to, and that's why we all have to be in this together.
I am Camilo Motato, and this is Camilo's house. In the world of forensic accounting, we don't look at the shells or the desktop props. We audit the consistency of reporting standards. If you find that a senior partner like James Comey is being liquidated via a federal indictment in North Carolina for a post that allegedly threatened the 47th president, you must reconcile that with the historical performance of other branch managers. Comey's seashell ledger spelled out 8647, a forensic signature that the DOJ alleges was a coded bat signal to get rid of Donald Trump. Comey has turned himself in, attempting to amortize the damage by deleting the post and claiming it wasn't a verified threat, but the DOJ auditors have already certified the charges. However, when we perform a historical transaction review, we find a material discrepancy that should make every voter shareholder in this country demand a full re-audit. Years ago, during a nationally televised interview, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer displayed 8645 on her desk, a direct reference to 86ing the 45th president, Donald Trump. In any professional audit, if the source data is identical, the use of 86 plus the president's numerical identifier, the audit outcome must be the same. Yet, while Comey faces professional liquidation, Whitmer's 8645 display has been treated as a non-material event. When reporters asked Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche about this material variance, his Management Discussion and Analysis, MD&A, was a classic non-responsive disclosure. He stated that every case is different, facts are different, and who makes the threat matters. As a CPA, I track the reporting standards. If who makes the threat is a factor in whether it's a crime, then you have officially redacted the equality from the justice system. This systemic default on operational consistency is not an isolated accounting error. It is a narrative hedge being used to impair certain political assets while protecting others. Blanche's claim that prosecutors must prove intent is a forensic shield that the DOJ is using to defer the liability of a Whitmer investigation. You cannot indict the seashells while granting immunity to the TV hit without impairing the fair value of the entire Department of Justice portfolio. If 86 is a verifiable threat to kill, as the DOJ alleges in the Comey case, then the internal controls of the FBI should have flagged Whitmer the moment that asset appeared on her desk. The oops on social media isn't just a meme. It is a certified disclosure of a systemic governance default. While the seashell audit dominates the headlines, the real-world deficit is being uncovered in the Michigan voter roll audit. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon has disclosed that the DOJ is moving to take legal action against Wayne County for failing to maintain clean voter rolls. From an investigative standpoint, the DOJ is demanding 865,000 ballots and hundreds of thousands of source documents from the 2024 election. Dillon's audit findings are staggering. In states that have voluntarily complied with federal transparency statutes, the DOJ has already identified 350,000 dead people still holding voter equity on the rolls. Furthermore, they have reconciled over 25,000 individuals with no citizenship records who were active on the ledger. This is a material weakness in our election infrastructure that represents a total infrastructure default. States like California, New York, Illinois, and Michigan, the Democrat-managed subsidiaries, are defying the audit. They are redacting access to their voter records, despite federal requirements under the Help America Vote Act and the 1960 Civil Rights Act. In forensic accounting, when a division refuses to show its books during a mandatory audit, it is a red flag for systemic fraud. Dillon is currently in litigation with 29 states to execute a forced disclosure of these rolls. If the inventory is clean, why block the audit? If the dead people aren't voting, why hedge against a federal review? This operational defiance is a total breach of fiduciary duty to the American shareholder. The forensic verdict on the Michigan DOJ Comey ledger is that the management at the top is currently operationally insolvent in terms of accountability. You have a seashell indictment being used as a reputational extraction against a former director, while a gubernatorial asset like Gretchen Whitmer enjoys indemnity for the same unit of measurement. You have voter rolls in Wayne County that are over-leveraged with dead people and non-citizens, while the Attorney General of the state calls the audit request baseless and politically motivated. This is the anatomy of a governance failure, where the internal controls have been redacted to protect the minority interest of the ruling party. I am Camilo Motato, and this is Camilo's House. Until the DOJ can reconcile its indictment of seashells with its immunity for desk props, and until the voter rolls are liquidated of non-performing assets, dead people, the American balance sheet remains deep in the red. We are living in a post-accountability market where the rules are amortized based on your political credit score. The Wayne County defiance is just the leading indicator that the management is fed up with transparency. I want to hear from you. Is the 8647 seashell post a material threat that justifies a criminal audit, or is it a tactical liquidation of a political rival? Should Governor Whitmer's 8645 be restated as a federal liability? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters when the integrity of your ballot and the solvency of the law are sitting on the negotiation table.